Recording of the rolls.
All present.
The consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, seconded by Commissioner Corcoran to approve the consent agenda as presented. Roll call vote?
Mildred?
Yes.
Semo?
Yes.
Tower?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes.
Bircha?
Yes. Motion carries. Item D, approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, seconded by Commissioner Corcoran to approve the agenda as presented. Discussion? All in favor? Yes.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item E, receive and place on file the statement of revenue and expenditures and the monthly cash report. Just because the people remotely have a hard time hearing the person at the podium, could I ask if you could remove the microphone actually so you don't have to awkwardly lean forward? Thank you.
Tonight I'll be reporting the financials for the month ending January 31st, 2016. Would typically be about 58% to our expenditure budget through the end of January. The first report is the revenue and expenditure report. Some of the highlights, I think by now it's used to the new format. So some of the highlights, first with the general fund, showing a period fund balance of minus 120,000. Just some reasons for that. A lot of it's to do with timing with expenditures. Other than that, our revenue sharing for November and December isn't received until the end of February. It's about 115,000 that we have. And also January's revenue sharing, which we won't get until April, another 60,000. And then, as I mentioned last month, we used fund balance of 100,000 to purchase a fire truck, and also 130,000 of fund balance for the Western Gateway Trail project. So those items total $405,000 on the plus side, making a period fund balance realistically about $285,000 plus side. So it's not as bad as it looks there. With the major street, negative 67,000, and that's directly related to the Hemlock Street Phase 2 mill and overlay project that we did. And you'll see that until the end of the fiscal year, that we will run the use of the fund balance. And the other item I just want to mention is in the water fund, which is showing a big negative there. We did just receive our grant for the urgent need grant, $531,187 here in February. So when I present the February financials, you'll see that number turn around. Those are the major items for the revenue expenditure report. If there's any questions on any of the other smaller funds, I can go through some. Otherwise, I'll move on to the cash report, balances report. The only thing I wanted to mention, and it's directly related to the urgent need grant, is the small water fund cash balance. Again, with the addition of those grant funds, we'll see that go up next month. The other thing on the cash report, in the bond debt service fund the reserves, you'll see that there's zeros in the phase 1 and phase 2 roads now. Those funds, those projects now, they've been grown. All those reserves have been transferred into the water and sewer funds. That's all that's really being accounted for. Phase 3 will be standalone until that project is completed, and then I'll close that out into the phase 1 as well. Actually, doing the water and sewer as well. But any questions on the cash report?
I'll make a motion that we receive and place on file 1 statement of revenue and expenditures and 2 monthly cash report.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Corcoran, seconded by Commissioner Mildred to receive and place on file 1, the statement of revenue and expenditures, and 2, the monthly cash report. Further discussion? Roll call? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And item F, approval of the monthly check register report.
I'll make a motion, we approve the monthly check register report as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Corcoran, seconded by Commissioner Semo to approve the monthly check register report as presented. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Semo?
Yes.
Tower?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes.
Mildren?
Yes.
Virgil?
Yes. Thank you. Item G, citizens wishing to address the commission on items on the agenda.
I'd like to hear reserve comment on section R, because there's 20 words on here to describe anything about your gym. There's no dollar amounts, there's nothing except 20 words. And information back that they were provided to the taxpayers on the internet. Thank you.
Any other? Citizens wishing to address the commission on items not on the agenda?
I'm sure that Michael provides info.
None? Item I, presentation. The Ironwood Historical Society. Come on up. At this time, we are honored to acknowledge the Ironwood Historical Society for your important work in archiving Ironwood's history, for your ongoing stewardship and preservation of the Ironwood Depot building and the historical displays held within, for the permanent historical displays that are housed here on this floor of our memorial building, for your hard work in bringing the 2015 Upper Peninsula History Conference to Ironwood last June and hosting a very successful, informative, and well-received event, and for your hard work in researching, organizing, and installing the beautifully framed collection of historical photos that tell more of Ironwood's history throughout the hallways of this beautiful historic building. Sandy Sharp, I know you are here to receive on behalf, and we'd also like to especially recognize as well your colleagues, Phil Casera, Rocky DeMario, Dan Berlin, and other Historical Society leaders that I know of, Gary Harrington, Yodi Berquist, and I'm sure there's other people that I'm not even aware of. So thank you very much for your hard work. If the commission could come around and we'll take a photo.
Let's, come on.
Squeeze in. Squeeze in.
I guess I'll get in front of that. How's that?
Yeah.
Little guys in front.
Accepting this certificate of appreciation, I did want to recognize especially our beautiful players and that is Fritz, Sarah, and Berlin, and John Mario. They were really the guiding force behind it. And last summer we hosted UP Historic Convention, and I think you really put Ironwood on the map. I think you opened a lot of people's eyes to what we have here and how great a place it is. And thank you.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you.
Item J, Andrew DeGiorgio, Public Safety Director.
On Friday, you will receive the packet, the summary.
Could you grab that microphone, please?
The last time you want to come to Georgia, you speak like this. I'll be the one to make your own. I'll bend down here. Okay, just like to touch on a notable highlights of our department. We did acquire a new ladder truck, and I'll touch on things like me not understand. Micah is our Michigan crime reporting, and we average around 40%, and that's how we go about our crime rate for our investigations, and we've really made an effort to improve that. And the standard in the state of Michigan is trying to be about 70, and we are at 74%. So we've worked really hard at closing out our records, and that's been an ongoing thing. So that's a successful outcome. Our ISO rating, as we've heard in the past, has improved. Touching on our school resource officer, this has been a very big program. The school has put some skin in the game. They pay $9,000 a year for that, which helps offset some of the costs. So very successful program. And my philosophy of the community policing philosophy, engaging the community. We offer a lot of programs and actually programming monthly for the community. And I just listed some of the topics that we have presented information on. With the community policing, our mileage we used to average around 75,000 miles, around 54, 55. That has plateaued. Part of that is being in the schools to an officer from the road, being more involved in the schools, doing the presentations, engaging the community. It moves us from the road. But I think the positive is that it allows the community to become more involved with our agencies. So I always tell everyone that Ironwood Public Safety, not quite all by myself, it takes the community to work together to prevent crime. So that's been our goal there. Our fire trucks, we still have our two trucks that are out of service that we're attempting to sell. And moving into the next phase of that, we're going to look at putting them on for auction here sometime after March 1st. Touching on our fire divisions, up to responded 48 calls, and the pressure fires, and we're kind of a unique agency in public safety. We're full-time fire, full-time police. That allows us to have a much quicker response time. The national average is 4 minutes, and the average 2 minutes and 31 seconds. And then for our bigger calls, such as our structure fires, we do pay out our volunteers. So we kind of have best of both worlds. We have the full-time department being supported by our volunteers. We continue to be the UP hazmat team. We're still training for that. We're almost up to speed here. Most of our guys are hazmat team training. We just have a few of us left to complete our training, and then we'll become more specialized training. So it's a never-ending thing, but I think it's a great thing for our community because the nearest hazmat team is about 8 to 10 hours a week. There's some nasty chemicals and products that go through on the US too. So we're very fortunate to have that team. Calls for service, we wanted to kind of give you the understanding we have had a unique year. And Brandon Powers has actually been part of this process.
It's probably my fault.
All unique. It's horrible. The state had come up with a grant-funded record management system, and it sounded like a great program. It was going to be the state share information. It was the most inefficient records management system we could be dealing with. So we went back to our normal crime stars, and then we merged with the County. Now we share crime stars, our record management system, and it's really unique where it allows us to share information between the two agencies. So it's been a very successful merger between the two agencies, and it's been very successful and very efficient. So the data is a 6-month data for our calls for service. I don't want to say doubling, that's what our number would be, but typically we average around 400 to 4,500 calls. Our citations are up slightly. Dealing with our general crimes, our civil infractions, and our ordinances are down, but our misdemeanors and felony crimes are up, and those take a lot of our time. Those are the ones that take a lot of court-time investigations and warrant requests. So right now we have 155 requests for warrants in the prosecutor, so part of the why the court process takes some time. We're one agency providing the courts with all this information. So we do have 150 outstanding warrants, and everybody's like, well, why don't you pick them up? A lot of those people have left the area, so we do have to come across people, we arrest them and try to reduce that number, but that's an average number. So. Our training, the limited year for training, there's some changes on how Northern Michigan is providing training. So we are constantly looking at different ways how we can train ourselves. We send some people to school to be instructors. So those are a few of the trainings we received this year, and we'll be increasing them. Well, I believe training is very important. That's how you just keep your skills up, how you learn new skills. I understand law enforcement and the fire division is traditional, but times are changing and we need to stay on top of things. So technology is very important, so we're always learning. So we always need to be training and doing various things. So minimal training year, but next year will be much more. A year ago, we started our CADA process. That's a national accreditation. I felt that was important because a lot of times people look at law enforcement and questions who's watching us to make sure we're doing things right. And this is a national standard that an agency comes in, evaluates our policies, procedures, and audits us to make sure that we are following our policies and procedures and doing things the right way. So I felt that was very important. Just to reaffirm to the citizens of Ironwood that we are doing things the way they should be done. So kind of give some transparency to the agency. And I feel that's very important. It forces us to really evaluate our policies and procedures and how we do things. You can write the most elaborate policy, but if you're not going to stick to it or follow it, not going to do policies. So we're writing policies that benefit our agency and the citizens. So it's a long process, it's a 3-year process, but we're slowly making headway on that. So the last page here, it's why the report was held out widely now. It's been a while to get some information. Giant is our multi-agency. They've been very busy. I don't want people to get the impression that Ironwood or Mogillic County is this drug-infested area. They are very active, so I think when you have an active department, you see results. This is a national problem, so we're not the only ones seeing these increased numbers. This is across the country. Something we do or are doing is one of our officers, Officer Sturgeon, we have made him a drug officer, so 56 hours of his 80 hours is certainly just drug enforcement. So flexes his schedule to be most efficient at investigating drug crimes. So it's been a very successful program. He's very good at what he does, and they do a great job. So even though those numbers seem high, I credit them with hard work and being successful. So. Again, my report. If you have any questions, comments, concerns.
I'd just like to make a comment that the report shows a lot of accomplishments that we're probably not aware of that go on. So I just want to thank you and your department for all that you do. So.
I have a question, Ann. Sorry. You mentioned Crime Star, and that's one way we're working with Gogebic County and Giant. We're all aware of that. Are there any other ways we're cooperating with
Okay.
surrounding communities.
And after looking at the report, I had 3 people read it. We did leave out SWAT. SWAT is another of our mutual agreements between all the agencies. Then we do have our mutual aid agreements with Gilbert County, Hurley, Wisconsin, and County, Wisconsin. So we're almost intertwined with all these other agencies. And not just on a law enforcement level, on the fire division side too, we have mutual aid agreements with all the surrounding fire agencies. So we have a great working relationship with all the other agencies. And we moved it up to where we train together and do different things. So very successful for the area.
So if you're in hot pursuit of someone and they go to Hurley, can you?
Yep, we're most of, I say 90% of our staff is deputized to go over to Hurley, follow them all the way to Ashland County.
All right.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to new business. Item K, consider approval of rural development change order number 5, Phase 3 utility project to Rootsla Construction in the amount of $43,123.15.
Thank you. This is change order with Rootsla Construction. And Mike Foley's going to give you a little bit of a background on what that all includes. It's a number of different elements that make that up, and he'll clarify that for you.
Thank you very much, Scott. There's a multitude, if you go through it and read the supporting documentation, there's a whole number of items. I'll just hit on the highlights. Basically, it's tying up all the loose ends, the outstanding issues that weren't originally under the contract, so miscellaneous ditching, replacing or moving some mailboxes, a few, we always run into a few unknown water issues, cleaning up a few of them, some additional sidewalk removals, which you tear out sidewalk when you put in a water service, and get done cleaning up and find out that maybe there was some more sidewalk that had to get replaced. Same thing on the HMA side and the curb side. You tear out a few chunks of curb for a water service, and one of the old, they got covered with dirt, but you have to do a few more. So you kind of have to come back, they have to come back in and take care of it. And then we also, there's some nuances in the project, purchase some additional supplies. The breakdown, as you can probably see, is about $7,300 of water funds and about just under $36,000 of sewer funds. You have the money in your road development project budget to pay for this, so it doesn't come directly. You pay for it over the 40-year bond, but you don't have to have any monies out of pocket at this point in time. Can I answer any questions?
My favorite question, where does this put us in the whole timeline of finishing paying for this project and finishing the project itself?
The project needs to be completed by the June 15th of 2016. If you'll recall, on the local side of things, they just have some paving to do, raise a few manhole castings and the like. Again, no reason to believe that timeline would be in jeopardy barring some unusual event. The 2014 MDOT project is complete. However, we do have the outstanding claim that we, in fact, we had a noteworthy conference on that last week, and that is, its resolution is moving forward, perhaps not the case we want to see. Finally, the 2015 MDOT project, there's just a couple very minor punch list items that people will have to come back in for, and we would expect that project to be closed out very, very shortly thereafter.
Somebody like to entertain a motion to approve this?
I'll make the motion to approve the change order number 5 as presented in item K.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Mildren, seconded by Commissioner Semo to approve the rural development change order number 5 as described in item K. Further discussion?
Just Scott, this all makes sense and conforms to what is reasonable and expected.
It does, yeah. We sit down, the city staff with the consultants and the contractor, and we spend many hours going through all these items, and they're all appropriate for payment.
Roll call vote, please.
Tower.
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes.
Mildren.
Yes.
Semo.
Yes.
Virgil.
Yes. Motion carries. Item L, discuss and consider approval of change order number 1 for the City of Ironwood SAW Grant Project to Green Bay Pipe and TV LLC in the amount of $140,650.73.
As the council or city commission will recall, we have received a very sizable SAW grant. Part of that grant, or part of the work associated with that, is cleaning and televising our sanitary sewer mains. So last year, the city commission did award a grant to Green Bay Pipe and TV for a portion of that work. We do have some more sanitary sewer lines that still need to be cleaned and televised. There's still grant funding available to do that. And Green Bay TV and Pipe did a good job last year. We didn't award it all to them because we wanted to make sure that they were able to accomplish the work to begin with. They did a good job last year. They did finish up what they were asked to do. And we are recommending awarding the balance of the work to them in the amount identified here. And again, a lot of this will be the real heavy cleaning. A lot of what they did last year was televising. They did some cleaning, but these are some of the sanitary lines that have a lot of sediment in them. So it'll be a lot more cleaning probably than televising this year around. But it's a pretty sizable dollar amount, and it is 100% grant funded.
I have a question, Scott. If I add up what we've already awarded them and what we're talking about here, it's only a little more than a third of the total grant.
Right.
So how are we what's going to happen with the rest of that grant money?
Well, the rest of the grant, there's a lot more to the project than just televising, and a lot of that has been done. It's everything from basically coming up with a management system for our infrastructure, basically our sanitary sewer and storm sewer. So part of this is Coleman Engineering's done a lot of work on our behalf associated with this, basically going out and inventorying every manhole in town, and that's, hundreds of manholes, and they do a manhole survey. They've done smoke testing. They're actually creating a database of information for us that'll be in a operating system that we can pull up out in the field. So they're collecting all the data, it's going into this database and this GIS program, and then we're going to be able to retrieve that for future reference to what we have underground. So part of this was just to inventory everything that we have underground, and that's being done. So that's a big part of the project too. So a lot of that is the work associated with what Coleman has been doing and what they will be finishing up this year. So it's basically a 2-year project. A lot of the work this year will be doing some more flow meter studying. We've done a lot of that. The city did purchase 5 flow meters, and with the assistance of Coleman Engineering, we're going through isolating where we have inflow problems into our sanitary line. So we're starting to get a handle on that. And so this is, televising is probably, like I say, just a part of the overall project that we're working on.
So at the end of the project, will we have spent all of that money?
All the money will be spent between all this inventory, data gathering, and televising, and all the other testing that's being done in the system. Yes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the change order described in item L.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, seconded by Commissioner Corcoran to approve the change order as described in item L. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mildred?
Yes.
Semo?
Yes.
Tower?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes.
Birchall?
Yes. Motion carries. Item N, discuss and consider awarding demolition and removal bid to Angelo Lupino, Inc.
All right.
Yes, please.
So the next few items are all related to the demolition bids, so I'll just generalize them. These are the last 5 structures that we have as part of our grant program that we received from the state and federal government. The bid tabs here before you, Angelo Lupino was the low bidder on all 5 of the projects. They're a little higher than these previous ones because some of these projects, these structures have more asbestos control that's going to be required. So that's why maybe some of them seem a little higher than past ones. But other than that, pretty standard, pretty routine. As you can see, we're bidding. Some of the projects, the contractors were rather close within hundreds of dollars. So we are recommending awarding all the bids to Angelo Lupino.
And there are no taxpayer dollars involved in any of this, is that correct?
These are it's grant funded. The schedule for completion is mid-July.
I'll make a motion, we award the bid described in item M.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, seconded by Commissioner Tower to award the bid as described in item M. Further discussion? Roll call vote?
Semo?
Yes.
Tower?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes.
Mildred?
Yes.
Birchall?
Yes. Item N, discuss and consider, discuss and consider awarding demolition and removal bid to Angelo Lupino in the amount of $15,302 for 214 Norfolk Street.
I'll make a motion, we award the bid described in item N.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, seconded by Commissioner Tower to award the bid as described in item N. Further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Tower?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes.
Mildred?
Yes.
Semo?
Yes.
Birchall?
Yes. Motion carries. Item O, discuss and consider awarding demolition and removal bid to Angelo Lupino, Inc. in the amount of $18,582 for 613 East Cloverland Drive.
I'll make a motion, we award the bid described in item O.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, seconded by Commissioner Tower to award the bid as described in item O. Further discussion? Roll call vote?
Mildred?
Yes.
Semo?
Yes.
Tower?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes.
Birchall?
Yes. Motion carries. Item P, discuss and consider awarding demolition and removal bid to Angelo Lupino, Inc. in the amount of $15,722 for 615 East Cloverland Drive.
I'll make a motion, we award the bid described in item P.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, seconded by Commissioner Tower to award the bid as described in item P. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Semo?
Yes.
Tower?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes.
Mildred?
Yes.
Birchall?
Yes. And the final one, item Q, discuss and consider awarding demolition and removal bid to Angelo Lupino, Inc. in the amount of $11,905 for 114 Flink Street.
I'll make a motion, we award the bid as described in item Q.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, seconded by Commissioner Tower to award the bid as described in item Q. Further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Tower?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes.
Mildred?
Yes.
Semo?
Yes.
Birchall?
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. And item R, discuss and consider applying for a Michigan Department of Natural Resources Recreation Passport Grant for the Memorial Building Gymnasium.
All right, thank you. Back in January, I went to a grant workshop regarding their grant opportunities. Their standard process, they go through the general grants available and kind of talk about what different types of projects would be eligible for those types of grants. City staff has been looking at this and talking to Parks and Rec as well on different projects that we may be looking at applying for. And the project that really came out is really focusing on the Memorial Building gym that's in the basement here. A couple things that we're looking at with the Passport Recreation Grant. It's the only grant that the DNR allows you to work on, fund internal recreation buildings. There are other grant opportunities that they have for outdoor recreation. So this grant in particular allows you to focus on buildings and facilities. So that's one key difference with this grant versus the other grant programs. What we're looking at doing is redoing the floor of the gym, redoing the lights in the gym, as well as redoing the walls and ceilings in the gym and the locker rooms and the shower areas, in addition to lights in those areas as well. The floor is in rough shape in certain areas. The electrical and the lighting can be upgraded, and we have a lot of painting that is needed on the walls and ceilings. We've got a lot of plaster that's kind of coming off, so that needs to be repaired. So really, it's a renovation project, and that's what this grant emphasizes for facilities, indoor facility renovation type projects. The grant program is the maximum grants request is $45,000 with a 25% match. So if we requested the maximum of $45,000 grant, we would then put in a $15,000 local match, which would bring us to a $60,000 project cost for the whole project. With that being said, based on some preliminary numbers that we've gotten, some estimates for the flooring, the electrical, and the paint and wall and ceiling repairs. We're looking at a little under $60,000 roughly for that project, with some, contingencies built in there. So really, it comes out to a $60,000 project. We have funds available in the Memorial Building Fund. There is money that's budgeted every year for projects. Scott and I have verified with Director Lynn that there is money available. So to put up the $50,000 local cash match would come from the Memorial Building Fund, and there still is money available for the other projects that have been identified. The big project is some repairs to the exterior of the Memorial Building, the walls, doing some work on that. So with that being said, what we kind of just get direction from you guys tonight is, are you interested in applying for the grant? If so, that's what I need to know, because then I can start the formal application process through the DNR. I've already started doing some preliminary work on it. I've been talking to the DNR on the project. The indication that I've gotten from them is that it's an eligible project. It's worthwhile applying for. Obviously, they can't give you any guarantee on if you're funded or not, but staff feels that it's a worthwhile project that needs to be done, should be done. The building is used and the gym is used by a number of different organizations and a number of different types of events. Anywhere from the school groups that have basketball practice, soccer practice, baseball, to different events that are held there. We use it for SISU, dance companies use it. Different organizations throughout the community use it for various things. I know there's a pickleball group that uses it during the day. There are homeschool children, preschool age children with their parents and family that utilize it throughout the year. So it's really it's a great benefit. It's a great asset to the community. And we really want to improve it and be able to make it usable and more enjoyable for the public. And again, there's no charge from the city, I believe, right? You just can come in and sign up to rent it and use it, or just come in, and say, hey, is the gym available? Can I go down there and use it? So it's a really great facility from that perspective too for the public, because it's really open for anybody to use, for whether it's organized activity or unorganized activity. I think that's the beauty of it.
Sure, Michael, 100% for it. Thank you for being willing to do some extra work again and fit it into your schedule. So just myself, but I grew up playing basketball, as a lot of other young people did. A little bit of being able to use the pool way back when, and thank you. Let's move forward.
I also would support applying for this grant. I think it's important to promote the memorial building as a community use building. And I talked to Michael earlier today, and I was actually surprised at how much the gym is used. So I think it would be a worthwhile project. So.
And just to let you know, if you decide to go forward with it, we would bring back a resolution for your adoption. Process we follow in the DNR grant program process, but basically a resolution in support to apply for the grant. So that would be at an upcoming meeting. Again, the grant application is due April 1st, so presumably it'll be at your next meeting or the second meeting in March.
Would the project include upgrading both locker rooms and shower areas?
That's what we'd be looking at. We have to take a closer look at the estimates that we got to see where the numbers fall, and again, obviously, you won't know until you actually go out to bid for the project, but I believe that, that's the intention, is to fix as much as we can and make those repairs all at one shot.
And Michael, for the locker room, it's predominantly painting and the electrical, what's been included.
Well, of all the projects that have been done to this building, it's the missing link, and I think it's a great project.
I agree. So we don't need formal motion tonight because you're going to come back with the resolution?
As long as it sounds like consensus says you guys are comfortable with us moving forward with it, so we'll work on it and starting the formal application process and bring it back for your official approval at a later meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Item S, discuss and consider the no smoking policy in city parks.
All right, thank you. So in the packet is a little memo on the smoking policy in city parks. As you recall, meetings ago, we had a workshop to kind of discuss this concept. A few years ago, this idea was brought before the commission. A lot of discussion, Parks and Recs, a lot of different groups in the community, the city commission. Ultimately, the concept failed. We've had a lot of issues and complaints and other things as staff that we've noticed with smoking in parks. Really, it comes down to sanitary issues, health issues. A good example is Depot Park, where you notice an increase in cigarette butts, littering of cigarette butts. We tried a number of different techniques and measures to decrease that this past summer by putting out receptacles, trying to keep up on the maintenance and pickup, but it's gotten pretty overwhelming, at least in that particular location. And then just the health aspects of it, having people in parks with a secondhand smoke. A lot of families don't want to bring their kids around to the playgrounds and having to deal with the smoke issue. So those are some of the issues and reasons behind it. Really, it's health and sanitation that it comes down to. And again, it's a maintenance issue too. So for our public works guys who are out taking care of parks during the summer, they spend a lot of time picking up the cigarette butts when they could be using that time for better use of the time than just picking up cigarette butts. So those are some of the issues. Kind of the topic tonight that I want to talk about is we have no formal action tonight. We would still have to bring back a formal ordinance, go through that normal process, public hearing and so forth, and have it formally adopted. What we're looking for tonight is direction. One, do you want to see some kind of no smoking policy in city parks? And if so, what does that look like? So that we know how to compare the ordinance to bring it back for you for your consideration. I kind of listed 3 different options. One, we do nothing, things status quo. We ban smoking in all city parks, or we ban smoking in specific certain parks, city parks. Those are kind of the 3 general options. And with some city parks, given some ideas of what do you want to focus on, what's the priority if you want to do it in some parks. Some of the concepts that we're throwing around at Parks and Rec in years past were, anywhere that has a playground where there's children present, parks and benefit children, program activities like that. Parks and Rec did discuss this. They looked at banning smoking in all state parks except for where there's campgrounds. So essentially, Parade Park would remain, you can smoke there, but they kind of looked at it and banning it everywhere else. That was kind of what they talked about and recommended. Again, listed what the comprehensive plan talks about regarding, doesn't specifically target smoking, but brings in the health and sanitation issues kind of a result of the smoking. Kind of product is consistent with the plan. So really tonight what we're looking for is a motion to move forward and give staff direction on what you'd like to see as far as smoking policy in city parks. And I know one of the comments that came up in the discussion point was enforcement. Andrew DeGiorgio can. He's not here. But he's willing to touch on that. And in our conversations, he said that the concern was the enforceability of this. Again, he said it comes down to community policing. So if there are issues, the community calls and says, "Hey, we see an issue at this particular location. Can you step up, enforcement in that area?" So what he said is that it's enforceable. It's like any other law. It's a matter of utilizing the community and getting their way back and important assistance with addressing those issues.
Michael, years ago, when I was growing up, for instance, people smoked everywhere. And then the medical community came out and said, for years and years how bad it was, and everything has changed, so there's no smoking in buildings. Now, with all of our parks, it's children that use those parks. And myself, I've mentioned this before, but as a member of Kiwanis and I know Rotary and some of the others, every year we've raised money for playground equipment, for grass, for infrastructure, for painting, and we've always disliked the fact that people smoked in the parks where the children are. So I'm 100% for instituting a policy that ban smoking in the parks. And the other thing is that our country, and particularly the cities that are vibrant, cities that are Marquette, Houghton, Ironwood, Munising, you have runs, you have bike rides, you have Sisu. You have recently in Marquette, they instituted a Fat Tire Bike rally this weekend that I think 600 people attended first time, and with their families, and then spent the weekend there. And in Munising, they had a ice climbing contest, and there was 400 people there for the weekend. So between all of these things are people that love nature. All of these things are family orientated. They're good for our community, and I would like to see us continue to be a city like Marquette, a city like Houghton, and no smoking in our parks.
There's a flip side to that coin, which is, as you said, parents bring their children to the parks to smoke. They're smoking, but they're letting their children play. You know, there's always a chance that they may not want to come to our parks anymore and leave their kids play video games or something. You know, they may not want to go to the park if they're banned smoking. You know, I don't smoke. I don't like smoking. I was in favor of the workplace bans and the bar bans, restaurant bans for inside use. And we've now chased all those people outside, you know, for the reason that you just said. You know, it's bad for you. But we forced everybody to go outside. And now we're forced, now we're going to tell them, we've chased you outside, but now you can't smoke outside either. You know, I think we're just, it's a fine line there, and I think we're crossing it. Do an all-right ban.
I think what I'm saddened with is that, although that is a valid point, and there's a cost to our city in terms of managing the waste of the cigarette butts, where perhaps this wouldn't be an issue if smokers were responsible, and not that all aren't, but that many aren't, and that is an issue that costs the city money and is unpleasant for small children who don't know how to discern the difference between a stick and a cigarette butt. And again, not that we have to be like other cities, but in bigger cities and more progressive areas, there are places that have banned smoking completely in entire blocks and entire retail sections of towns, and entire university campuses are entirely smoke-free. And so we're not setting this enormous precedent. Thank you.
Well, everybody has a pretty strong feeling, I think, about this topic, and you know, smoking is clearly something we don't want people to do. We want to discourage it, and a lot of us don't want to be around it either. So if you're in any kind of area where people are congregating, say you're sitting at Randa Field and the person next to you lights up, it's unpleasant for you. So there's one negative about it. Another negative is the litter has been mentioned. Another negative is the messaging to kids. You know, kids see people smoking, especially young people, they think it's cool, they want to do it. We as a society want to say, no, it's not cool. Sure, you can smoke, but you can't smoke here. And so I definitely support the ban, and I voted for it the last time. The only exception I personally could see is when you're camping at Curry Park, your campsite is your home, and I can certainly see an exception for that. But other than that, I'd like to see it banned in all other parks. So that's going to be tough for you guys to write something up that...
I think we're looking for a motion. We would need a motion from the commission and see what is supported. So that will give us direction then to modify the ordinance. That would come back to you, and there'll actually be a public hearing process with that ordinance also.
All right, I'll make a motion that that you create an ordinance that is based on option number 3, ban smoking in some city parks based on set criteria. What those criteria are is still up for grabs, correct, at this point?
The only one I've heard so far is Curry Park, from what we're hearing at the moment.
Right.
So.
I think too, sorry to interrupt. For me, I'd take a look at I like number 3 option, and especially with the focus for me on the playgrounds where the children are. I just know from my general observation that Randa Field is, I would believe, primarily used by adults with the different leagues that happen at night. So I don't know if I would feel comfortable including Randa on that, but I guess just kind of moving forward with option number 3, I guess those are things that we can iron out as the ordinance comes to us.
And as far as setting criteria, is there a way that we can do that without having to hammer out every detail right now, or?
Right, I think we have enough direction, if that motion moves forward, to at least craft something for you to take a look at. You might change it a little bit or tweak it.
So I'm hearing, just to be clear, ban all city parks except for Curry Park and Randfield? Is that?
I just said option 3 of banning smoking in some city parks based on a set criteria. We're not setting criteria right now, and I don't know how we can.
Right, I think we'll come back to you with some options. So we're hearing number 3 is maybe what you're going to select, and we'll put together a couple different options for you to consider.
Did you have support on your motion?
No, not yet.
I'll support that.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Semo, seconded by Commissioner Mildren, to create an ordinance on a no smoking policy in city parks based on option number 3 with some exclusions, possibly including excluding campsites at Curry Park.
Well, we don't go that far
not that
in
far.
the motion. We're just
Okay.
giving staff direction.
I think we'll come back with a couple of options for you, like you did here. Maybe
Okay.
have 2 or 3 or 4 different options, and you can talk about those and
That sounds
modify them.
great. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Item D, Manager's Report.
Just a few items to bring you up to speed on, things that are going on in the city. You probably bring this up, but just want to put a plug in for the Historic Ironwood Theater, and they are having their fundraiser this Saturday at 7 o'clock here at the Memorial Building. And I believe tickets are still available for that. It's their one-time big fundraiser, so definitely get out and support their efforts. A few things project-wise, we are working, the City Commission did approve a contract with Kleinman Pump and Well Drilling for rehabbing well number 201, and that is well underway. They've been working diligently over the last month or so, and the new pump will be going in, and what I understand within the next week or 2, that should be completed, is where they're at with that, so it's moving along very well. Staff is also working with some of the Coleman Engineering survey staff on the Aurora Land survey platting process, and that's been going on for a number of months to plat the lots in that area. And there was a neighborhood meeting last week. Some of the neighbors came out, and the surveyor is trying to meet with each of the property owners, as many as they can, to finalize that plat and where those lot lines will go, and then they will submit that to the state for review, and it takes a number of months for the state to review it, but it is still work in progress, and a lot of action and work has been done to get it to this point, and it is moving forward. City Commission also did approve the Curry Park electric upgrades, and staff did meet with Lindquist Electric as the contractor on that project, and I think a lot of the details are worked out, contracts are in place, and Lindquist is getting materials ordered, and as soon as the weather allows, we'll be in working on the campground. All of the full hookup sites will be out of commission for a number of weeks as they're doing the work there, so we'll post that, and again, it'll be in our early part of the season, which is usually the lower usage, and it'll be done before, I believe, remember the completion date, Michael? End of June, so for the prime summer season, those campsites will be up and ready for use. The city clerk's office is working very diligently on getting ready for the presidential primary, and that's March 8th, so that's coming up here real soon, so I encourage everybody to come out for that. Code Enforcement Office has been working, and we mentioned this they submitted a grant for a scrap tire grant where residential homeowners can get rid of scrap tires, and we did that a number of years ago. It was very successful. That grant has been submitted. We're getting some positive feedback. We don't have final approval yet, but it's looking fairly promising, and we should know here in the next, hopefully next few weeks where that sits, and if it is successful, then we'll promote that program. Good way for people to get some of those old tires out of their backyard or their garage that tend to accumulate in those areas. And city staff and a couple of city commissioners that are on this group met today with our branding consultant and had the kickoff meeting for the branding project. I think it was very encouraging, very, it's going to be an interesting process to go through. I think it'll be a real asset, I think, the city as this branding process goes through, and then it's infused into our marketing and our community. So I think it'll be a fun project to be part of, and a little kind of out-of-the-box projects that I think it's unique for us and unique for our area, and I think will be a real nice addition to all the other things that are being worked on in the community here. So with that, that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Any other matters?
I just had a thought while the meeting was going on, and it might not be the right venue, I should probably just talk this over with Scott, but we've talked about the perpetual care fund a number of times, and if there were any way we could utilize it, and I'm guessing you guys have studied this in some detail, is there any way we can use it to help pave the streets in the cemetery, do anything more than just, it basically sits there now and does nothing?
It's very limited. I think Commissioner Corcoran had some thoughts on that. I think that are maybe definitely worth taking a look at. And I believe a couple commissioners wanted to be part of that as looking at the options. So why don't we get together? I'm trying to remember who was on the list that had, everybody has an interest in that, but on your goal list. And we got a couple names next to that. I think I was. Commissioner Tower and Commissioner Corcoran, if I recall. Does that sound right? Or I don't have the list.
I'm willing to jump on board, so.
Okay, we'll get together and brainstorm some options and then come back to the full commission with a few options. It's very limited in how we can use those funds right now, but I think we have to be creative and find a creative way to utilize them.
Is it limited by state statute? Is the perpetual care fund?
It's extremely, yes, it is. Paul Lynn and myself, we had talked with our bond attorney, essentially, who's quite versed in this, and it's extremely restricted by state law on how I'll say how we can't use it, I guess. Very limited on how we can use it as it's currently set up, but there might be a different way to structure it to best utilize some of those funds to help maintain the cemetery. So, we're very restrictive on how they can be used.
It'll be interesting to see if we can come up with some new ideas.
I have some ideas.
Great.
So we'll get together with you here in the next few days or next week and get together and we'll bring something back to the full commission.
Any other matters?
Sure, just one other thing. As a new commissioner, it was so enlightening to me to be taken on a tour of all of the city departments and the assets available. And then tonight with the public safety report, I'd just like to say that they and Gogebic County law enforcement people that are working in Gogebic County, old-fashioned, hardworking, and really do a good job for us. So I want to say that.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
You guys ready?
All in favor?
You guys really have some wiggle room with that. I don't care about you. I hope so.
I'll tell you this. I was going to ask you.
I know that's my question.